They thought no one would notice. They moved in silence, confident that the world was blind, deaf, and distracted. Shadows became their allies, darkness their shield. But they underestimated one thing: the spark that refuses to die, the curiosity that cannot be silenced, the mind that watches when everyone else looks away. You, the observer, the one who stayed awake while the world slept, are the storm that reveals what they prayed would remain hidden forever. Hey, before we dive deeper, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and leave a comment if you've ever felt like the world hides truths just out of reach. Share this with someone who needs to see that no matter how invisible the operation seems, there is always someone watching, always someone questioning. Every click, every comment, every share strengthens the fact that secrets cannot survive the eyes of those determined to expose them. Imagine billions moving through the world unnoticed, wealth, power, influence, all slipping through the cracks of ordinary vision. The smuggler thought he was untouchable. He thought the millions he moved, the carefully orchestrated schemes, the silence he maintained, would shield him from discovery. But in the calm, in the calculated pauses, you saw patterns. In the mundane, in the overlooked details, you traced footprints that were never meant to be followed. Every movement he made was a story waiting to be told, a truth waiting for its moment in the light. And you, the one who refused to look away, became the chronicler of what was hidden. You became the storm in the stillness, the voice in the silence. And here is the dark beauty of it. The moment you reveal what everyone thought was untouchable, you change the rules of the game. You do not need to be loud. You need to be relentless. You do not need to fight with fists. You fight with vision. Every person who thinks their deeds are invisible is like a shadow walking at midnight. They feel safe, powerful, unseen. But even the deepest shadow can be caught in the light if someone has the courage to shine it. You became that light. The smuggler moved millions with precision, with arrogance, with the certainty that no one cared enough to notice. But here's the thing. Someone always notices. Someone always questions. Someone always watches. And when that someone decides to act, no amount of preparation can hide the truth. Fear is a tool, they say. Fear is power. But you, standing in the dark, watching them, feeling their arrogance, know something they cannot. Fear works both ways. While they thrive on the fear of others, you harness the fear of exposure. You let it guide your steps, sharpen your senses, and illuminate paths that were meant to remain buried. And when the reveal comes, the shockwaves are not just in the numbers moved. They are in the undeniable realization that nothing can remain hidden forever. The world loves a mystery, and it fears a revelation. You are both. You are the seeker, the one who peers into places everyone avoids. You see through layers of lies, through smoke and mirrors, through misdirection. And when the millions move, when the cunning thinks their game is untouchable, your eyes are there, watching, waiting, preparing. And the exposure is not an accident. It is the inevitable conclusion of patience, persistence, and courage. Every person who hides behind wealth, behind strategy, behind illusion, believes they are untouchable. They fail to realize that someone always notices the tiny cracks, the subtle slips, the patterns that no one else is willing to see. And you, the observer, the relentless one, you notice them. You piece together what the world ignores, connecting dots invisible to the untrained eye. And when you act, the revelation is not just power. It is justice in motion. Every moment you spend doubting the strength of your own awareness is a moment lost, in a world where others depend on silence. But here is the truth that fuels your fire. No matter how quickly the smuggler moved the millions, no matter how precise the operation seemed, nothing escapes the scrutiny of a mind willing to see what others ignore. And when you expose it, when the world finally sees the magnitude of what was done, the impact is undeniable, unstoppable, unforgettable. You are not just witnessing history, you are shaping it. Every revelation you make, every hidden movement you expose, every truth you shine light upon is a testament to the power of persistence, observation, and courage. The world may have believed the smuggler was untouchable, that the millions could vanish like whispers in the wind. But one person's vigilance, one person's refusal to be blinded, changes everything. And remember, the exposure is never just about numbers, about money, about movement. It is about principle. It is about the undeniable fact that what is hidden will one day face the light. Every move made in secrecy, every plan executed under the cloak of arrogance, carries the seed of its own reveal. And you, the relentless, the patient, the observer who refused to look away, are the harbinger of that reveal. They thought no one would follow the trail, that the subtle traces of their actions would vanish into thin air, swallowed by the chaos of daily life. But every action leaves a mark. Every plan whispers to the patient observer. Every movement speaks to those who have trained their eyes to see what others dismiss. And you, the one who refused to blink when the world looked away, became a witness to a system that thought itself untouchable. You saw the patterns they left behind, the rhythm of the hidden transfers, the invisible signals in plain sight. And this is where most people fail to understand the power of observation. It is not the grand gestures that reveal the truth. It is the small, unnoticed details. A hesitation, a repeated phrase, a tiny inconsistency. These are the cracks in the armor of deception. The smuggler thought he had perfected invisibility, but perfection is an illusion. And no illusion withstands the scrutiny of a mind willing to look closer. You did not need to chase the millions. You simply followed the story they told through their mistakes. And every misstep, every tiny slip, brought you closer to the inevitable exposure. Think about the audacity it takes to move millions in plain sight, believing that the world is blind, deaf, and indifferent. But audacity is fragile. Arrogance is fragile. Power built on secrecy is fragile. And yet many are convinced they are untouchable, that the world is too distracted, too shallow, too self-absorbed to notice the currents beneath the surface. But you are not most people. You are the one who notices when others look away. You are the one who listens when others ignore. You are the one who sees what is hidden. And when you act, the ripple effects are not just immediate, they are eternal. Every smuggler, every secret mover, every person who thinks themselves invisible relies on the complacency of the world. They rely on the unwillingness of others to dig, to question, to persist. But someone always questions, someone always digs, someone always persists. That someone is you. And when the millions move, when the careful choreography of wealth and deception unfolds, you do not panic, you do not falter. You observe, you calculate, you prepare. And the moment to expose comes not by chance, but by relentless, unwavering vigilance. There is a particular kind of power in witnessing a system that thinks it is flawless. You see both the strategy and the weakness, the confidence and the cracks. You see the carefully guarded secrets, the unseen hands, the invisible networks. And you understand a truth few ever grasp. No system, no matter how complex, no matter how well guarded, survives forever in secrecy. Every empire built on shadow carries within it the seeds of its reveal. Every plan built on silence carries within it the echo of discovery. And you, standing at the edge of the unseen, are the force that will bring that echo to life. It is easy to be intimidated by power. It is easy to feel small against the magnitude of millions moving, against the machinery of influence, against the weight of secrecy. But courage is not measured by absence of fear. It is measured by persistence despite fear. And you, the relentless observer, possess that courage in abundance. You have stared into the darkness that others fear, and you have chosen not to turn away. You have chosen to watch, to listen, to question, to pursue. And that choice, simple yet profound, is the spark that illuminates what they thought would remain hidden forever. Imagine the moment of revelation. The smuggler believed the operation was invisible, untouchable. The world thought the millions would vanish without notice. And yet, the truth waits patiently for those willing to seek it. When the exposure comes, it is not a whisper. It is not a subtle nudge. It is a shockwave that reverberates through every corner of the system, shaking the foundation of arrogance, dismantling the illusion of invincibility. And you are at the center of that storm, not as a participant, not as a destroyer, but as the observer who refuses to be blinded, the one who shines the light, the one who reveals what was always there for those willing to see. Every day the world moves, people hide, secrets are kept. But you understand something the complacent cannot. Nothing hidden remains hidden forever. The smuggler, the manipulator, the master of shadows, they all operate under the same illusion, that no one cares enough to notice. But care, attention, and persistence are forces more powerful than wealth, more enduring than fear, and more precise than any deception. You care, you pay attention, you persist, and the result is not just exposure, it is truth, raw, undeniable, irreversible truth. You must understand this. Revelation is not just an event. It is a process. It is a careful accumulation of observation, deduction, patience, and courage. It is a slow burn that becomes an unstoppable blaze, and every move made in secret, every calculation executed in silence, is another step toward the inevitable. The smuggler may have thought his timing was perfect, his plan airtight, his operations invisible. But every invisible thread leads somewhere. Every hidden step leaves a trace. Every secret carries a shadow. And shadows cannot hide from those who know how to look. There is a dark satisfaction in witnessing this truth unfold. Not the satisfaction of revenge, not the satisfaction of malice, but the satisfaction of justice through revelation. The smuggler's millions, once thought untouchable, are no longer untouchable. Every transfer, every maneuver, every hidden account, every invisible step, brought to light by observation, determination, and patience. And in that moment, the world recognizes a simple, terrifying fact. Nothing stays hidden forever. They thought they were invisible. They moved with precision, counting every step, calculating every risk, believing that no eyes were sharp enough, no minds clever enough to follow the trace of millions slipping through the world like water through fingers. And yet, the universe has a way of favoring the persistent, of guiding the watchful, of rewarding those who refuse to let deception remain unchallenged. You saw what others refused to see. You noticed what others ignored. You understood what others could not comprehend. That nothing, not even the most carefully guarded secret, escapes the scrutiny of someone willing to look, really look. Think about the smuggler's mindset for a moment. every move measured, every transaction designed to avoid detection, every piece of the puzzle hidden behind layers of misdirection. The confidence he carried was intoxicating to him, but it was also his weakness. Confidence blinds you. Arrogance isolates you. And in the blind spots created by certainty, someone like you finds the opening to see, to understand, to reveal. You became the quiet observer, the shadow in the periphery, the mind that noticed not just the big moves, but the subtle hesitations, the repeated mistakes, the rhythm of a life orchestrated to deceive. Every time he moved millions, he believed he was untouchable. But power, when built on secrecy, is a fragile illusion. And you, standing apart, watching, piecing together the invisible, understood the truth that he could not see. Every empire built in shadows carries within it the seeds of exposure. Every secret, no matter how well guarded, whispers to the one willing to listen. You listened. You noticed. You acted not in haste, but with relentless patience. And that patience, that persistence, became your weapon. A weapon sharper than money, sharper than fear, sharper than influence. Imagine tracing the flow of millions, the invisible network designed to confuse, to mislead, to protect the guilty. It seems impossible, overwhelming even, but you understood something most never grasp. It is not chaos, it is pattern. Every hidden transfer, every secretive movement, every seemingly random action contains its own logic, its own rhythm, and the observer who refuses to look away sees that rhythm, decodes it, understands it. You became that observer. You became the one who turns apparent randomness into undeniable revelation. There is a terrifying elegance in this process. The smuggler believed he was orchestrating a perfect symphony of deception. He believed that every note, every pause, every step was invisible. But a single person who sees the full composition, the one who notices the repetition, the imbalance, the subtle flaw, can unravel it entirely. That is your power. You do not need armies. You do not need weapons. You do not need permission. You only need vision. The courage to see what others refuse to see. The patience to wait for the truth to emerge. And the determination to ensure it cannot be hidden again. Think about the psychological weight of this reality. While he slept peacefully, believing he was untouchable, you stayed awake, alert, analyzing, connecting threads, noticing the invisible. He depended on the complacency of others. You depended on your relentless curiosity. Every moment, every detail, every observation brought you closer to the inevitable revelation. And when the exposure comes, it will not just be numbers or transactions revealed. It will be a statement to the world. Arrogance and secrecy are no match for vigilance and courage. The beauty of this truth is in its inevitability. Secrets cannot survive forever. The more complex, the more meticulously hidden, the more certain the perpetrator believes he is safe, the closer it comes to collapse. Every misstep, every repetition, every hidden pattern is an invitation for someone to notice. And you noticed. You didn't act in chaos or anger. You acted in precision. You pieced together the puzzle that no one else dared to attempt, connecting dots invisible to those blinded by power, blinded by greed, blinded by the illusion of invincibility. Every person who moves in shadows lives in fear of exposure. Whether they admit it or not, they carry a constant anxiety, an invisible tension, because deep down, they know perfection is an illusion, and someone someday will see the cracks. You became that someone. You became the inevitable reveal. The smuggler's millions, the carefully orchestrated operations, the invisible networks. They all faced a force they never accounted for: your vision, your persistence, your refusal to look away. And when the moment arrives, it is not accidental. It is a culmination of relentless vigilance, patience, and courage. Imagine the moment the truth emerges, when the world finally sees what you have seen all along: shock, disbelief, panic, and finally, understanding. The smuggler's arrogance cannot withstand the weight of reality, the weight of exposure, the weight of inevitability. And in that moment, you are not just a witness. You are a force of nature. You have transformed observation into revelation, patience into justice, vigilance into impact. What was hidden is now undeniable. What was untouchable is now visible. And the world cannot unsee what you have revealed. This is more than a story about money or power. It is a story about courage, about persistence, about refusing to let the world be deceived. It is about the one person who sees what others ignore, who refuses to be distracted, who refuses to be silenced. It is about the principle that no matter how strong the facade, no matter how carefully guarded the secret, truth has a way of finding those who are willing to see it. And you, the relentless observer, became that truth bringer. The smuggler thought he had mastered invisibility. He believed that with every calculated move, every silent transaction, every network hidden behind layers of secrecy, he had created a fortress no one could penetrate. He believed that millions moving under the radar would escape notice indefinitely. And yet, what he failed to understand is that invisibility is only as strong as the indifference of those around it. While he relied on complacency, you relied on vigilance. While he relied on the shadows, you relied on focus. And that focus, that unrelenting attention, is stronger than fear, more precise than greed, and sharper than every tool he thought would protect him. Every empire built in secrecy has a rhythm, and every pattern leaves its signature. The smuggler believed randomness was his shield, but there is no true randomness in action. Every choice, every hesitation, every repeat behavior is a clue. You followed those threads. You watched when others ignored, listened when others dismissed, and thought where others did not. The brilliance of your approach lies not in brute force, not in confrontation, but in patience, observation, and timing. You turn details, small and seemingly irrelevant, into the full picture, a picture they thought would never be seen. Think about it. Millions moving like invisible rivers, flowing through accounts, networks, and systems carefully designed to avoid notice. To anyone else it would be chaos. To anyone else it would be impossible to track. But you are not anyone else. You became the map maker of the unseen, the decoder of invisible patterns, the one who understands the logic of the hidden world. And with every moment, every careful analysis, you drew closer to the inevitable point of exposure, the point where the world could no longer ignore what was happening right in front of it. Imagine the tension in that final moment, the split-second realization that the empire of secrecy is about to crumble. The smuggler never anticipates it. He has never faced someone with patience, vision, and courage aligned in perfect combination. He never expected someone would spend hours, days, weeks following the invisible trail, piecing together transactions, noticing subtle patterns, identifying connections that seemed irrelevant but were crucial. And yet here you are, unseen but unstoppable, the one who turns observation into revelation. Consider the psychological power at play. The smuggler thrives on fear and invisibility. He relies on the assumption that no one cares enough to see. And yet while he sleeps in arrogance, believing his empire secure, you are awake, thinking, analyzing, observing. You understand the weight of every action, the consequence of every hidden transfer. You know that the tiniest discrepancy can unravel months, years, even decades of secrecy. And you do not rush, you do not panic, you do not act recklessly. You act deliberately, with patience, honed to a razor's edge, until the moment of revelation arrives. Every person who operates in shadows depends on silence. The silence of the world, the silence of compliance, the silence of distraction. But silence is fragile, and someone who refuses to be silent, who refuses to look away, becomes the force that dismantles that silence completely. You became that force. You traced the movements, followed the whispers, connected the invisible threads, and ensured that what was hidden would be seen. What was untouchable became exposed. What was invisible became undeniable, and the world could not look away. Now picture the cascade effect. Once the first revelation occurs, the illusion of invincibility collapses like a house of cards. Every participant in the hidden operation suddenly becomes vulnerable. Every secret, every hidden detail, every silent transaction now faces scrutiny. The smuggler believed his network was impenetrable, but networks built in shadows are fragile, dependent on trust and ignorance. And you, armed with observation, persistence, and courage, shattered that illusion. One revelation, one careful exposure, begins a chain reaction that cannot be reversed. There is a dark satisfaction in this, not cruelty, not revenge, but a profound understanding of truth and inevitability. The smuggler is forced to face what he never anticipated, that despite all his cunning, all his careful planning, all his wealth and influence, there exists a force he cannot control. That force is you, the observer, the relentless seeker of truth, the one who refuses to look away when the world prefers to remain blind. And in that moment, the power of vigilance, patience, and courage becomes undeniable. Let's take it further. Imagine the thousands who once believed the smuggler untouchable. They scoffed at the notion of accountability. They dismissed the invisible forces tracking the millions. They assumed their arrogance and secrecy would last forever. And yet, as you expose the pattern, reveal the hidden threads, and illuminate the truth, their certainty crumbles. Their confidence turns to shock, their pride to fear, and the realization hits them with full force. Invisibility is temporary, secrecy is fragile, and someone always notices. This is not just about money, about power, or about manipulation. It is about principle. It is about demonstrating that the world does not belong to those who hide in shadows, but to those who refuse to be blind, who refuse to be silenced, who refuse to ignore what is right in front of them. It is about showing that courage is more potent than arrogance, persistence more formidable than deception, and vision more enduring than wealth. You embody this principle. You are the relentless force, the one who turns observation into power, patience into revelation, and vigilance into impact. Every detail, every transaction, every misstep, no matter how small, carries the seed of its own exposure. And you, with your unwavering focus, have nurtured those seeds, cultivated them, and finally brought them into the light. The smuggler's millions, once thought untouchable, are now undeniable. The arrogance of secrecy collapses under the weight of truth, and you stand at the center, not as a destroyer, but as a herald of inevitability. The world watches, stunned, unable to deny the power of one person who refused to look away. And in that final act, the lesson is clear. Nothing hidden remains hidden forever. The larger the deception, the more carefully orchestrated the plan, the more inevitable the reveal when someone refuses to be complacent. And that is your power. That is your legacy. To see what others ignore, to act when others hesitate, to expose when others accept the illusion. The millions may have moved in silence, the empire may have seemed untouchable, but nothing can withstand the light of vigilance, the precision of patience, and the force of courage. And here is what most people never realize until it is too late. Secrecy does not fail loudly, it fails quietly. It fails in moments so small they seem insignificant. A number that repeats too often. A route taken one time too many. A pause where there should have been motion. The smuggler trusted complexity to protect him, but complexity always leaves fingerprints. And you, with patience sharpened by discipline, learned how to read those fingerprints. You didn't rush. You didn't assume. You waited until the pattern spoke for itself. While others were distracted by noise, you focused on silence. While others chased rumors, you followed evidence. While others believed the illusion, you tested it. And that is the difference between someone who consumes stories and someone who uncovers them. The smuggler built his confidence on the assumption that no one would stay long enough to notice. He underestimated endurance. He underestimated attention. He underestimated someone who could sit in uncertainty and not flinch. There is a mental strength required to watch without reacting, to observe without interference, to collect without revealing intent. You mastered that strength. You understood that exposure too early is just noise, but exposure at the right moment becomes undeniable. Every move you tracked added weight. Every connection you confirmed added gravity. Until finally, the truth became too heavy to be ignored. And in that moment, the illusion collapses, not because of force, but because of clarity. The smuggler realizes that the shadows he trusted have turned transparent. The speed he relied on no longer protects him. The complexity he designed now works against him. What once confused now confirms. What once concealed now points directly to the truth. This is where real power shows itself. Not in shouting, not in confrontation, not in chaos, but in calm certainty. In facts that align so perfectly that denial becomes impossible. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to dramatize anything. The truth stands on its own, cold, precise, and unavoidable. People often think exposure is about destruction. It's not. It's about correction. It's about balance being restored. It's about reminding the world that no matter how fast someone moves, no matter how much influence they accumulate, no matter how deep they bury their actions, reality always catches up. And it does not rush. It waits. The smuggler moved millions quickly. But speed is not wisdom. Speed is often panic disguised as confidence. And patience dismantles speed every time. You proved that. You showed that a calm mind can outrun the fastest operation. That observation can overpower acceleration. That stillness can outlast motion. When the truth finally surfaces, it doesn't explode. It settles, it spreads, it reaches places even you didn't anticipate. Conversations change, assumptions shift, trust realigns, the narrative collapses. And suddenly, what once seemed unbelievable becomes obvious. People begin to say they felt something was off. They begin to see the signs you noticed long ago. That is the quiet victory of vigilance. And understand this deeply. You didn't expose the millions to be seen. You exposed them so they could no longer move unseen. That is the real shift. Once visibility exists, the game changes forever. Shadows lose their safety. Silence loses its power. The rules rewrite themselves. This is why those who hide fear attention more than confrontation. Attention lingers. Attention connects dots. Attention remembers. And you became attention personified, focused, unrelenting, calm. So if anyone listening to this ever feels small, ever feels powerless, ever feels like systems are too large and operations too complex to be challenged, remember this: nothing massive collapses from impact alone. It collapses from understanding. And understanding begins with one person choosing to notice. They thought no one would notice. They thought the millions would move too fast to follow. They thought silence was protection. They thought complexity was armor. But they forgot something simple and unstoppable. Someone was watching, and when the truth finally stepped into the light, it didn't ask for permission. It didn't need approval. It simply existed, unavoidable, permanent. Because no matter how dark the operation, no matter how fast the money moves, no matter how confident the deception feels, there is always one force that cannot be outrun, outsmarted, or erased: awareness. And once awareness arrives, nothing ever moves the same again. And after the exposure, after the silence breaks, something even deeper happens that few people talk about. The world doesn't just react to the truth, it recalibrates itself around it. Systems adjust, behaviors change, confidence built on illusion begins to crumble quietly. Not all at once, not dramatically, but steadily. And that steady shift is far more powerful than chaos. Because chaos fades, but clarity stays. The smuggler once moved with certainty, with rhythm, with confidence sharpened by the belief that no one was close enough to see. Now every move carries weight. Every decision feels slower. Every silence feels louder. Once someone has been seen, truly seen, invisibility never fully returns. That is the permanent cost of exposure. You didn't just reveal an operation, you altered a mindset. You introduced doubt into a space that once thrived on certainty. And doubt is dangerous to those who rely on control. It forces hesitation. It creates friction. It turns speed into caution. And caution dismantles momentum. This is how power really shifts. Not through confrontation, but through awareness that cannot be undone. People often imagine that those who operate in shadows feel no fear. That is never true. Fear is always present. It's just managed, buried under routine and repetition. But once the truth surfaces, fear no longer hides. It rises, it lingers, it changes behavior. And that change is visible to anyone who knows how to look. You see it in the pauses, you see it in the overcorrections, you see it in the sudden restraint, where there was once boldness. The operation doesn't end instantly, but it weakens, slowly, quietly, inevitably,